Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
Hello, American families. Welcome to this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. I'm your host, Skip Coryell, and if you love your family, care about them deeply, and want to learn how to protect them in every facet of your life, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show for you today, and I know that you're going to love it. Today is our Christmas special. Man, it's hard to believe. Just a couple of more days, and we have got Christmas. We got a lot of good stuff here. We're going to be talking with Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection, our resident attorney, and he's going to be talking about use of deadly force and Santa Claus. Now, if you want to find out what that's all about, you're just going to have to stick around. And then we're going to have my son, my eldest son. He is 30 years old. He lives in Missouri, and we're going to be talking about Missouri firearms laws. So if any of you travel through Missouri, you will want to stay tuned for that. But right now, let's talk a little bit about Skip's brain. What's going on inside the chasms, the canyons, the ravines, the deep, icky, gooey recesses of my mind? What am I thinking about? What's going on? Well, you know what? I've been thinking about a lot of things. I'm down here with my son and 4 grandkids and my daughter-in-law. And so we have been staying at their house for about 5 days now. I got to tell you, Missouri weather is different than Michigan weather, especially in December. I think it was a high of 56 yesterday, but it's down to about 42 today. But in Michigan, it's much colder than that, so I'm going to enjoy it for one more day, and then tomorrow we'll be heading back to Michigan. We'll get there in time for Christmas Eve. We'll go to church, and then we've got a family Christmas in the afternoon, and then church again at night, so we have a full-packed day. I've just been enjoying my time down here. Now, you may have noticed the bumper music has changed from last week. Last week we had It's a Wonderful Life. This week we've got something different. We have got one of my favorite Christmas movies. It is A Charlie Brown Christmas. I love that music. I love the theme. I love Charlie Brown. Sometimes I identify with Charlie Brown. I feel like a blockhead. I feel like the rest of the world is Lucy, and they're always trying to pull the football away from me while I'm trying to conquer the world. But hey, I think everyone feels like that sometimes. Don't let the Lucys of this world get you down. Because, hey, Lucy's a jerk. All right, let's go now and learn a little bit about the Charlie Brown Christmas. Most people have been watching that their whole lives, but they really don't know a whole lot about it. Let's check that out right now. Now, I don't recall if I saw the debut of A Charlie Brown Christmas. That was back in 1965, December 9th, 1965. And I was 8 years old at that time. I just remember growing up with A Charlie Brown Christmas. And I felt so sorry for that poor Christmas tree. I've always rooted for the underdog. That happened in 1965. Charlie Brown is depressed because of the commercialism of the holiday, and Lucy suggests that he direct the neighborhood Christmas play. But he's mocked by his peers, which he always was. And then at the very end, Linus tells Charlie Brown about the true meaning of Christmas. And we'll play that clip for you towards the end of the show. But, prior to that, Peanuts, Charlie Brown, was just a comic strip. This was the television debut, and everyone involved with that, Charles Schulz wrote it. Bill Melendez directed it, and Lee Mendelsohn produced it. Everyone thought that it would be a big flop. They had only 6 months to produce the whole project. Everything pointed towards this is going to be a big flop. It was sponsored by Coca-Cola. They were a little concerned about it too. But then when it aired, it was a tremendous success. It won an Emmy and a Peabody Award. And it's an annual broadcast in the United States over the Christmas season. Every single year, you will be able to watch A Charlie Brown Christmas. It was such a success that after that, they went ahead and they did a Charlie Brown Halloween and a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. So, hey, it turned out to be a great success. It's one of my favorites. If you haven't seen A Charlie Brown Christmas yet, I encourage you to go ahead and do that right now. Well, you'll notice that I did not crack the dew this morning. I have eggnog, a pint mason jar of eggnog right here in front of me, and I'm just sipping away at this, getting in the holiday spirit. It's good stuff. I had to water it down a little bit with regular milk because I don't like drinking stuff that's really thick like, sludge. But hey, I love the taste. Let's go ahead and let's get into the news now. Find out what's going on. Chicago is in the news. I'm over on yahoo.com. Chicago police say Facebook secret groups used to sell guns and drugs. What a surprise. Criminals will pretty much do anything they can to get money, drugs, and guns. This is written by Bernie Woodall from Reuters. Chicago police arrested 50 people for using secret groups on Facebook to sell guns and drugs, the police said on Thursday, and they criticized the world's biggest social media network as being unhelpful during the 10-month investigation. Well, obviously, it's Facebook's fault. Actually, not. That's stupid. Why is it Facebook's fault? All they are, they're like the U.S. Post Office, right? If someone ships something illegal through the mail, is that the post office fault? I don't think so. And as far as them being unhelpful, I don't know. Facebook, they don't allow you to advertise, guns and drugs on Facebook. This was a secret group. You can't police the volume that they have on Facebook. They have 2 billion users worldwide. How are they going to police that? I don't know that they can. Isn't that the police job? That's what police do, right? They police things. They enforce the law. So, hey, let the police handle this. It sounds like they're doing their job here. They filed charges against 50 men and women arrested through Thursday, but said there were dozens and dozens of the secret groups. Arrest warrants for 18 more have been signed, and most of those affected have criminal histories, police said. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson, at a news conference, criticized Facebook for not helping police. Facebook has a responsibility to the people that they serve to ensure that these types of things don't go on, Johnson said. And quite frankly, they haven't been very friendly to law enforcement to prevent these things. Mr. Johnson, do your job. Just get out there, arrest those people. If you look at it from a positive perspective, Facebook's doing you a favor. You know where these bad guys are going online and selling drugs and guns. Just go online, take care of it, and you ought to be able to set up sting operations. You want other people to do your job for you. And quite frankly, you're not doing your job, Mr. Johnson. If you were, Chicago wouldn't be the number one murder capital of the world right now. You don't even want your people armed. So I have no respect for you, Mr. Johnson. Chicago has been singled out by President Donald Trump as one of the most violent U.S. cities, and in 2016, murders there exceeded 760, and this year, they are going to beat that. Sorry, Eddie. Get off your fat ass and do your job. Okay, what else we got? Chicago again. This is from the Chicago Tribune, not the most gun-friendly venue. Title is, "He Thinks He Needs a Gun for Protection. 5-year-old struck by a bullet for second time in 2 years." Well, you know what? Just by reading the headline, maybe his parents need a gun for protection. Who's protecting this little boy? Isn't that the parents' job? All right, this poor little boy, though, 5-year-old Kevin Collins. Oh, gosh. When he was 3 years old, he was shot by some gang activity in the jaw. He had surgeries for that. But now, a few years later, the boy told his family he was hiding a toy from his brother under a mattress in one of the home's bedrooms when he discovered the weapon and pulled the trigger. The father, Kevin Collins, 25, was charged with being an armed habitual criminal, unlawful use of a weapon, and possession of a firearm with a defaced serial number. Well, I don't know about you, but first thing I do is I file off all the serial numbers on all of my guns. Not really. That's against the law. And why would you do that? According to Michigan law, I have to register my pistols, and all my pistols are registered. All of those are felonies. He was also charged with misdemeanor child endangerment, which of course he should have. Folks, the real problem here, it's not the gun. Number one, the boy hasn't been trained. At 5 years old, if you haven't taught your kids, sat down and said, hey, listen, if you see a gun, stop. Don't touch it. Get out of there and come and tell us. Okay, and number two, under your mattress? Do you folks just take a pistol and shove it under the mattress, and that's where you keep it? You don't do that, do you? You have a gun safe that you lock it up in. If you don't, shame on you. Lock up your guns. And third, the guy's a felon anyways. This guy's got a rap sheet like you wouldn't believe. He's a bad father. The problem here isn't the gun, it's the father. The father is a bad father. And quite frankly, if I was the mom here, there's no way in hell I would let my 5-year-old be with this man, whether he's the sperm donor or not. He's obviously not a good father. He's a criminal. He belongs in prison. And hey, Merry Christmas. You're going to prison for a long, long time, hopefully. Okay, folks. Well, that is about all the time we have for this segment. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection, one of our sponsors. Terry is a defense attorney in the Detroit area, so he knows a little bit about crime. But we're going to be speaking with Terry about the night of the year where there are the most home invasions. And guess when it is, folks? Statistically, there are more home invasions on Christmas Eve than any other day of the year. So when we come back, we'll be talking about that. Okay, folks, this is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
My name is CJ Coryell. Welcome to the Home Defense Show with my dad, Skip Coryell. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
Okay, folks, this is Skip Coryell. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This segment, as promised, we have Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection. Terry, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
How are you, Skip? Always a pleasure to be here.
All right. Hey, ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. I'm doing fantastic. Are you looking forward to a really good Christmas, Terry?
I am looking forward to a great Christmas, Skip, and Merry Christmas to all of your great and wonderful listeners.
Now, before we launch into this too much, you know what would make a really good Christmas gift would be Firearms Legal Protection for the whole family. Don't you agree?
I agree. There's no better gift to tell a family member how much you love them other than by protecting them, and what a great way to protect them through Firearms Legal Protection.
All right, and you can just go to firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical, and you can check that out. That's a shameless way I put that in there, but hey, that's okay. What I want to talk about today is I recently learned, through searching the internet, that the most home invasions occur on the planet on Christmas Eve. Did you know that stat?
I did know that stat, and I hear it's one guy who's doing most of the home invasions.
That's right. It's one guy doing all of these home invasions, and it's heinous what he's doing. But my question has to do with legal use of deadly force. I know if a normal guy comes down my chimney at night and he breaks into the house, he's typically there for some nefarious purpose. In that case, depending on the jurisdiction, I can go ahead and I can shoot that guy, right?
Correct. If you're in Michigan, which you and I are, of course, the rebuttable presumption is if someone breaks in your home, they're there to do harm to you. So, yes, you can defend yourself legally with lethal force.
Now, that's called Castle Doctrine, correct?
That is correct.
And then in Michigan, we also have something called Stand Your Ground. Give us a synopsis of that.
Well, Stand Your Ground is basically the Castle Doctrine extended outside the home. So if I am at Walmart, for example, and someone comes up to me and it's their intent to do great bodily harm to me, or they're attempting to kill me, I can use lethal force to protect myself without first having to run and hide or go off in a different direction.
I want to caution my listeners, not everyone listening to the show is from Michigan, so make sure you check your local jurisdiction to see if your state has Stand Your Ground law. I think most states have Castle Doctrine in some form, don't they?
Correct. Most states, when you're inside your home, most states you are protected. There are a few of the other states that, I'll say, our friends out on the East Coast that aren't, let's call them, they're a little more criminal friendly. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good. It sounds accurate, too. Now, Terry, Christmas, people are stressed out at Christmas, a lot of us, a lot of hassle. Going out, facing the crowds, the extra traffic, buying gifts, inviting people to your home, and putting on that special Christmas dinner. People are stressed out. But there's this one guy, every year, he goes around, and in essence, legally defined, he's a criminal. He breaks into every single home on the planet. Am I correct, or am I exaggerating?
No, you're correct. Long as you've been nice, and which is kind of weird, he's going to break into your home. If you've been naughty, he doesn't want to see you.
Now that's an odd reward, but exactly what is the definition of breaking and entering? Because I've heard two different things. I've heard that one, that people have to actually break something like a door or lock or something, and I've heard other people say, well, no, they just have to break that invisible barrier that is the curtilage of your home. Which one is correct?
Well, the correct definition of B&E, or breaking and entering, you don't have to physically break something, but you have to cross a line. And what do I mean by a line? So if your window is up and I stick my hand in the window, grab a apple pie that Grandma just made, I've technically done a B&E, breaking and entering, because my hand went through that invisible area known as a window, And while I was there, I entered. Your whole body does not have to go in.
And you don't have to actually steal the pie to be breaking and entering.
Correct. Breaking and entering is just you broke the plane and you entered.
Wow. Okay, so this guy, he's a criminal. You know, the odd thing is that even though this guy performs millions of breaking and entering crimes every single year, children still love him. Is there a legal explanation for that?
Everybody's loved by somebody. We can always say that. But, you know, just because you're loved by someone doesn't mean that you are not breaking the law. So he is doing a B&E in most places. When you talk home invasion, the interesting thing is, from a home invasion standpoint, the legal definition is truly I'm going in with the intent to commit a felony while I'm in there. This gentleman that talking about breaking and entering would literally have to go in with the intent of committing a felony. So if he's not doing that, we might be able to just get away with the misdemeanor of breaking and entering.
I see. Well, the plot thickens then. That does complicate things because typically this guy, he comes in, you know, he's got the red fuzzy suit, you know, the big white beard, belly shakes when he laughs like a bowl full of jelly and all that stuff. But, you know, he doesn't typically take things other than maybe a few cookies and milk every once in a while. But he leaves things. Is it a crime to break into someone's house and deposit gifts?
Well, it's a crime to break and enter, first one. And like I said, he's probably looking at a misdemeanor in most jurisdictions. Leaving something, you know, it depends on what he's leaving. Where did he get the toys from? Are they legal toys? You know, we got to think about these things. Is it something that's legal? Is he, leaving someone who's been nice a nice, 9mm handgun? You know, how did he acquire that?
That's
Has
right.
he registered it with the local authorities? So it just depends on the gift that he's leaving.
I can see that. Well, as you can see, the law is not as cut and dried as people would like it to be. But my next question, and this is the toughest one I'm going to ask you. What would happen if someone actually shot Santa Claus while he was performing one of these breaking and enterings?
Great question. I think a lot of the kids listening now would be upset with us for shooting Santa. However, as I stated, in Michigan, like most states, and as you stated, Skip, please check the laws in your local jurisdiction, but in Michigan, if someone's broken into my house, I'm under the rebuttable presumption that they're not there to do me any good. So I can use legal lethal force, and I should be protected under the law.
I see. So someone breaks into your house. They're wearing a red fuzzy suit. They're bringing you gifts. You go ahead, you shoot him. He expires. Now, I'm assuming that Santa Claus is not immortal. And then you're brought up on charges. I would hate to walk into a courtroom like that and find a jury made up of 8-year-old kids. Can 8-year-olds be on a jury?
8-year-olds cannot be on a jury, but, I don't know. They can't. Reindeers can't. Neither can snowmen.
Elves?
However, elves as we know them that work in the North Pole cannot be on there because they don't live in the jurisdiction.
Oh, thank God.
I think a reasonable person would look at this and say that the homeowner was doing the right thing by protecting himself, And here's the other thing. If Santa was bringing the homeowner a lump of coal, would we assume that the homeowner had been naughty? I'm just asking. I don't know.
Well, and that coal, if it's a large enough piece of coal, could be used as a deadly weapon.
Absolutely.
Well, that brings us to the final point, Terry. What about the public relations aspect of this? Because I know not all criminal cases are tried solely in the courtroom. There's also the court of public opinion.
That is correct. And unfortunately, in the court of public opinion, it's kind of like Monday morning quarterbacking. Everybody's got an opinion about how they would have performed in a certain situation. The reason we have rules of evidence and courts of law is to make sure that information gets to the trier of fact, in this case the jurors, in a reasonable manner without a lot of emotion and hearsay, and it's the evidence as it is, not someone's opinion. So in a situation like that, the court of public opinion may convict you. However, we'd hope a court of law would do the right thing.
I noticed you said hope, because sometimes emotions do get in the way when we're talking about a jury, don't they?
They do. And, we're talking about a man that's loved by all, that's loved by kids, a man that we've all grown up with, and he's done nothing but good and great things. So they're going to look at that as opposed to, who's the guy that shot him and, what a bad human being he is, as opposed to looking at the facts of a case, which is Santa, in this case, was committing a felony by going into the house, according to the laws of the state.
So, from a practical standpoint, then, what would you say to your client? Would you say, listen, I advise that you just let Santa come in, take the cookies, leave you gifts, or would you say, listen, just fire away, do what you got to do to protect your home from those gifts?
Well, if you know that it's Santa and you know that he's not there to do you harm, I would just allow Santa to do what he does. But in the case where it's someone other than Santa Claus, someone that shouldn't be there, someone that you did not invite in your home, you have to protect your home. And in most states across the country, you have the right to use lethal force to protect yourself and your home.
Got it. So the trick here is threat identification. Is it the real Santa Claus or is it a fake?
Absolutely.
One final question, Tara. I know you're busy. Now, you're not under oath or anything, but be honest with us. Have you been naughty or have you been nice?
Can I plead the fifth on that one, Skip?
This is America. I guess you can. All right. Terry Johnson from Firearms Legal Protection, thank you very much for your legal expertise on this very provocative and precarious topic. Thanks, Terry. Merry Christmas.
Skip, Merry Christmas to you and your listeners. Thank you very much, and may God bless you and all of your family through 2018 and beyond. Thank you very much.
All right, folks. Again, this is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. Go on out and check out firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and give your family, your loved ones, the gift of legal protection. This is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
This is Felix Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Always use guns safely and wisely. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want to talk to you about keeping your kids safe around guns. I've never been a big fan of trigger locks, but I have to tell you, I have found a product called Child Safe One. It's a trigger blocker, not a trigger lock, and it works fantastic. I tried it out on my kids, and they could not get the Child Safe One off the training gun. I gave them 5 minutes. I sat there and I watched them, and they couldn't do it. Folks, I am satisfied, more than satisfied, that my kids are safe around Child Safe One. Here's the good thing about it. I can get that lock off the gun in under 2 seconds, but my kids can't even figure out how it works. Child Safe One is a win-win for everyone in the family. My wife's happy because she knows the guns are secure. My kids are happy because they're safe. And I'm happy because when the wolf comes a-knocking, I've got that gun cocked, locked, and ready to rock in less than 2 seconds. So go to globalgunsafety.com and get Child Safe One today. That's globalgunsafety.com. Check it out now and tell them the Home Defense Show sent you. Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the concealed carry book by yours truly.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if life was like the movies and the good guys always won? In today's world, if you're forced to use your firearm to protect yourself, you will need protection. Firearms Legal Protection is here for you. FLP provides you with seasoned, experienced attorneys that handle your criminal and civil matters as a result of you protecting yourself. FirearmsLegal.com provides its members with uncapped attorney's fees, bail bond protection, and coverage in all 50 states. We are not a reimbursement plan. You can access uncapped attorney's fees for as low as $10 a month. Firearms Legal members are provided with educational services, training videos, and access to our vast national attorney network. While you're protecting yourself, let Firearms Legal protect you.
Listen up, folks. This is important. There are plenty of legal protection services out there, but none will protect you as well as Firearms Legal Protection. This is the one I use and the only one I recommend. Visit firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and protect your family now. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. Here we are in segment 3 already. Terry Johnson, boy, that guy was fantastic, teaching you all about how you can legally kill Santa Claus. Boy, what a guy. These lawyers, you got to watch out for them. We have another guest in studio. I would like to welcome my son, my oldest son, Chris Coryell. Chris, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, son. Now, you are a world traveler. You love to travel. You grew up in Michigan and Georgia and Wisconsin, and now you're in Missouri. Now, I note that every time you move to a different state, I am forced to learn all about the concealed carry laws of that state. So I want to thank you for being such a pain in the butt.
Well, I find that in your education, you should always be proactive. If you're not moving forwards, you're moving backwards. You're welcome.
Okay. All right. That's what that was. Well, thank you so much, son.
I was thinking of you the entire time.
Right. I bet you were. When you were living over in Wisconsin, they had pretty good gun laws over there. There's no firearms registration.
Eventually. It wasn't like that when I moved there.
Correct. Well, there was never any registration, but they did pass shall issue concealed carry while you were there.
Yep.
So that was kind of nice. And then you moved, what was it, last year you moved here to Missouri?
Yes.
I just want to go over some of the gun laws that they have here in Missouri because they're different than Michigan. They're different from Wisconsin.
Well, wait, I was at work, so I missed the last segment. Can you legally fire on Santa Claus in Missouri?
Well, according to Terry Johnson, self-defense attorney, strictly defined, you can legally use deadly force against Santa Claus while he's breaking into your home. There's the problem of what are the legal repercussions, but then also what are the public relations repercussions, because a lot of people love Santa Claus.
Yeah, but we got to be really careful, because if you say, well, you can't shoot Santa Claus, then come Christmas Eve, anyone who wants to break into your house is just going to dress as a Santa because, you can't shoot Santa. And I really think that we're setting a dangerous precedent if we say that, no, you can't.
On the other hand, if parents start shooting Santa Claus, their kids are going to be really, really upset. There is a price to pay for that.
Did you just say if parents start shooting? I'm pretty sure just one person is going to do it. It's not like it's going to be a continuing problem that we have. People just won't stop shooting Santa Claus.
But you're making the assumption that Santa Claus is mortal.
That is true.
Okay.
And are you going to have someone on the show next time to answer that question? Because that really is something worth pondering.
Well, I think next year I'm just going to have Santa Claus on the show, and we'll ask him directly, because for all I know, he's been shot multiple times.
Well,
it's possible.
Maybe you should try in January or February, because, if you wait until December, it's a very busy time for him.
Well, and he might be in the hospital recovering in January, February from all those bullet wounds after the show comes out.
Well, see, and that's just it. That's the best time to catch him. That's like a captive audience.
Okay. All right.
He might need a naughty list, a nice list, and an attorney list. So
he might. I hope he has firearms legal protection. Let's get back to Missouri law here. I am from Michigan. I have a resident permit, and the way I understand it, my Michigan resident permit is good in the state of Missouri because Missouri recognizes any state's permits as long as we recognize their permit, and that's the definition of reciprocity. But there's something special about Missouri. You live in Missouri, and you currently do not have your concealed pistol license.
Correct.
But you can still legally carry here, can't you?
Yes.
Now, why is that?
What is it called? Constitutional carry, I believe is what it's called, where anyone who can legally purchase and own a firearm is allowed to conceal carry.
That is correct. Some people call it permitless carry or constitutional carry. If you can legally possess a firearm, you can also legally carry a firearm. And I happen to agree with that. I think it's a great thing. It's what the Founding Fathers intended. You shouldn't have to get permission from the government for a God-given human right. So, you can carry here without a permit. I can carry here without a permit as long as I can legally possess a firearm, which I can. Reciprocity for Missouri. You've got pretty good reciprocity. Looks like you can carry in about 30 states there. Not as good as Michigan. In Michigan, you can carry in 41 states. So I think you should move back to Michigan just for the extra reciprocity.
I could move back to Michigan, but it's a lot warmer here. The barbecue season is a lot longer, and I really enjoy that.
Well, and I enjoy your barbecue season too, because we had brisket a few days ago, and oh man, that was just awesome. Another difference here between Michigan and Missouri, in Michigan, I am required to immediately disclose that I'm carrying a firearm when I'm stopped by a police officer, but here in Missouri, you don't have to do that, do you?
No, you don't, although the first time I got a permit to carry was in Wisconsin, and that also was a state where you are not legally required, but they always recommend it. Even though I don't have to, I always like to say when I get pulled over, "Officer, I am legally carrying a firearm," before I take my hands off the wheel.
That is good legal advice and good practical advice. Now, the pistol-free zones, we like to call them criminal empowerment zones because over 90% of all active mass murders occur in pistol-free zones. They vary quite a bit from Michigan to Missouri. I notice in Missouri, it says here, police stations, highway patrol stations, sheriff stations. So basically, anytime you go to a law enforcement office, you are not allowed to carry there. Can you think of any others?
Polling places, I believe, is one for Missouri. On Election Day.
Well, I wonder what the logic. Do Missouri people tend to impose their opinions on other people on voting day, or?
I wouldn't know. Because of when I moved here last year, I actually missed the registration to vote deadline, so I had to absentee vote back in Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, I also see facilities of juvenile detention or correctional institutions, prisons or jails. That's the same as Michigan. Courthouses as well. That's pretty standard.
I think that's the same same in Wisconsin too. That's like that in most places so far as I know.
Yeah, I think most states have that. Now, here's one that's different right here. Talk about that one.
Any meeting of the governing body of a unit of local government.
Yeah, I don't like that one. I happen to think that, if you want to go to your county commissioner, he'll listen to you better.
So you think,
if he knows you're armed.
You think politicians will make better decisions if they're surrounded by guns?
Absolutely. Keep them accountable. And, of course, the General Assembly, Supreme Court, county or municipality may by rule make administrative regulation to ban guns. Now, in Michigan, any courthouse you can't carry in, and it's the same thing. You know, it's like an administrative rule. But the General Assembly in Michigan, you can carry at the state capitol, and we do that quite often, and it's a lot of fun. But here in Missouri...
A lot of fun. What do you guys do up there while you're carrying?
Oh, it's just fun to carry guns. We eat popcorn. We give speeches. We had the lieutenant governor talk to us last spring when we were there at the state capitol. But it's just kind of cool.
So anything that's fun is more fun if you're carrying a gun?
Oh, absolutely. Now, the controlled portion of an airport, obviously, you get up to the magnetometer, you'd better not have a gun there.
Yeah, they hate that.
Yes. Drinking and guns, obviously drinking and guns, they just don't mix.
I think that depends on what state you're in also.
Yeah, it does. Well, the blood alcohol content level varies from state to state. I know in Michigan it's 0.02. It's a misdemeanor. I'm not sure what it is in the state of Missouri, but since I don't drink, that's not a factor for me. But here, riverboat gambling operations accessible to the public. Do you do a lot of gambling?
Not at the tables. I tend to, gamble with life choices.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up space.
I did that too, and that resulted in my first 2 divorces. So you might want to rethink that one, son.
Well, so far, I'm at 9 years, and I'm feeling pretty confident.
I know. You've done better than I have, but I like to think you've learned from my mistakes. So you can thank me for that.
If you would make more of them, I could even be better off than I am now. So get to it.
I'm done. I am done making my life mistakes, I hope. Looks like churches, without the consent of the minister, that's the same as Michigan. Private property that has been posted as being off limits, that's the same as Michigan and Wisconsin as well. Sports arenas or stadiums with a seating capacity of 5,000 or more. Now, that's a little different than Michigan. In Michigan, it's an entertainment facility capable of seating 2,500 or more. And hospitals, same as Michigan again. It's really odd. A lot of these pistol-free zones, they vary from state to state. They're probably about 70% common, but there's always a variance. I remember there used to be a law in North Carolina where you could not carry a gun in a funeral procession, and I thought, what difference does it make? The guy's already dead.
But you never know who's coming.
Well, that's true.
I just think it's funny that in Missouri, apparently there's enough gambling on riverboats that they had to actually make it a part of the law to specify.
Yeah.
I actually was not aware that riverboat gambling was that big of a thing here. I guess I need to get out more.
And I see that Missouri has preemption, firearms preemption law, which is good. That means that none of the lower municipalities like counties, townships, cities, villages can make a firearm law that is more stringent than state law. And that is definitely a good thing. It makes it easier to follow the law. Open carry. Is open carry that legal here in Missouri?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes.
Now we're a game show host, right?
Well, you know my stance on gambling.
You're definitely, open carry is legal in the state of...
If I pick wrong, they will tell me.
Yes, the cops will definitely tell you. Open carry is legal in the state of Missouri.
Is it a CPL? I'm used to calling it a CCW.
Well, that's a different topic. It varies from state to state. Michigan has CPL, concealed pistol license. Wisconsin calls it CCW. But in the state of Michigan and some other states, that stands for carrying a concealed weapon, and that would be a felony. Texas has CHL, concealed handgun license. Utah has CFP, concealed firearms permit. So it varies from state to state.
Now that I actually did not know, because I know that in Wisconsin, which is the state that I'm most familiar with as far as gun laws go, is their CCW laws also cover knives, tasers. Yeah. They kind of lump them all together.
And a lot of states aren't like that. Michigan isn't like that at all.
That's good to know.
Oh,
you didn't tell them what I did. I'm not a lawyer. Don't take the things I say.
You work with computers, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think we pretty much have exhausted the synopsis of the Missouri gun laws, and we are about out of time here, folks. But I want to thank my guest and my eldest son. Thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, this is Skip Coriel on Home Defense Show. While you got 2 minutes while we're away, go ahead and check out our sponsors, EliteFirearms.us. Check out Larry Jackson and all he can do for you and your family. And then go to firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and get some good legal protection for your family. This is Skip Coriel on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome to my dad's Home Defense Radio show. You're gonna love it.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coriel Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly, Skip Coriel.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coriel, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
This is Skip Coriel from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit EliteFirearms.us. Okay, folks, this is your host, Skip Coriel. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show. We have a special guest with us today, a little guest. It's 8-year-old Phoenix Coriel. My son, Phoenix, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thank you.
Now, Phoenix, you know it's almost Christmas, and you know we bought you presents, right?
Yes.
Now, Phoenix, my question for you is, would you rather have 1,000 rounds of 9mm, or would you rather have toys?
I'd rather have ammunition.
And that, folks, is how I raise my kids. All right, now another question. When someone breaks into the house at night and they're coming in to hurt Mommy and Daddy and all of you kids, what should Daddy do?
Kill him?
Okay, well, that is definitely one way of doing it, right? If someone breaks in and he's trying to hurt you, I should use my gun to protect my family, shouldn't I?
Or call the police.
Well, if you have time to call the police, you should do that. But what about if the man who broke in came down the chimney and he's wearing a red fuzzy suit and he has a big white beard and he has a bag of presents? Should I shoot him then?
No.
Why not?
Actually, I think you should.
No. Well, for all the listeners out there, do not shoot Santa Claus, okay? That's who I was talking about. So if Santa Claus is coming to give us presents, he's not coming to hurt us, I should definitely not shoot him. Correct, Phoenix?
Yes.
All right. All right, Phoenix, thank you very much for your help on the Home Defense Show. We will have you on again. Merry Christmas, Phoenix.
Thank you.
Now, let's talk about Christmas. Depending on when you're listening to this show, it may or may not be too late to run out and buy Christmas gifts. But if you haven't bought my Christmas gift yet, let me give you a few ideas. You know, I've always wanted a Glock Model 19. 5.5-pound trigger press, 15-round magazines, interchangeable back straps. What's not to love? Compact, fierce, plenty of firepower. Now I know some of you out there hate Glocks. And I understand that. Some of you get that Glock finger or something. It doesn't fit your hand right. And hey, that's understandable. Fits my hand pretty good. Not quite as well as my Smith & Wesson M&P full frame, but different strokes for different folks. You know, I probably wouldn't carry it full time to replace my M&P. But I don't know. Can you really have too many guns? I don't think so. So I'd like to have one. It's a nice gun. It's a good all-around gun. I love the way it breaks down. It breaks down a little bit easier than my M&P. Can't really deny that. But it's a good gun. If, the crap ever hits the fan and parts are hard to come by, there's going to be a lot of Glock Model 19 parts around there. And though, the thing about a Glock is you can run over it with a tank. You can set it on fire. You can, roll it down a hill, soak it in water, and it's still going to fire. I got to respect that. So yeah, a Glock Model 19, that's high on my list. Of course, 1,000 rounds of 9mm ammo, might as well throw that in there. I'm not picky. My guns pretty much will shoot anything. They're not picky eaters. So you just pick out 1,000 rounds, 2,000, 3,000 rounds, whatever you can afford, and ship it on over to me, and I will be grateful. Extra magazines, of course. That's always a good idea. And you know what else I'd like? I would like about 30 cases of MREs. And you might think, MREs? Why would you want 30 cases of MREs? Well, hey, I'm hungry. And I love MREs. I know a lot of people don't like them. They go, why would you eat an MRE when you can have real good food? Well, I always liked it. They taste better than the C rations we had in the Marine Corps back in 1975. So, hey, I love the MREs. Good food. It's quality stuff. Keep for 30 years, and it still tastes the same as when it was first made. I always show up to my concealed carry classes, and at lunch, everyone will go out, get some nice fancy takeout or something, and I'll sit there and just eat an MRE, and people think I'm crazy. But I don't care. I like them. One word of caution, though. Do not eat a steady diet of MREs. I think there's like 2,000 calories per MRE, and if you eat 3 of those a day, oh man, there's a lot of fat, a lot of calories in an MRE. They're designed for 18-year-olds who are in combat marching all day, not for 60 years old who are sitting at a desk. So remember that. A steady diet of MREs will probably send you to a weight control clinic. Big time. All right, folks, Christmas. What is Christmas all about? I know everyone disagrees on that, but the way I was raised, Christmas is all about, well, instead of me telling you, let me appeal to a higher source. Let's ask Linus what Christmas is all about.
I guess you were right, Linus. I shouldn't have picked this little tree. Everything I do turns into a disaster. I guess I really don't know what Christmas is all about. Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about?
Sure, Charlie Brown. I can tell you what Christmas is all about. Lights, please. And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Wow. I don't think I can improve on that. From the mouth of babes. Or, in this case, a baby in a manger. Christmas is wonderful, folks. I know some people get depressed around Christmas time, all the holidays. But hang in there. If you feel like the Lucy's of the world are getting you down, then take heart. Be of good cheer, because someday there will be peace on earth, goodwill towards men. Well, folks, we are running out of time here. I looked down at my mason jar of eggnog, and you know what? Boy, it is almost gone. Just a couple of drinks left. Here we go. Okay, the eggnog is gone, and the show is just about over. Stay with your families this Christmas. Do kind things. Be good to people. Show them that an armed society is a polite society. And just because you're carrying a gun doesn't mean you don't love people. It means you do love people. All right. Still not too late to go on out to Amazon.com and do a search on Skip Coryell, Civilian Combat. Pick out that book. We also have Midwest Tactical gift certificates. That makes a nice gift. Next week on the Home Defense Show, we are going to have Tom Lambert from Michigan Open Carry, and he is going to be talking about their pending Michigan Supreme Court case. That is a big deal, and if you haven't been following that, you're going to want to hear that next week. Okay, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. Until next week, remember, your purpose in life is to find something greater than yourself and serve it. Always remember God, family, country in that order. It's important how you live, and it's equally important how you die. Your family and the ones you love need your protection, so train, always train, stay alert, stay alive. Until next week on the Home Defense Show, this is your host, Skip Coryell. God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America. Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Atta boy, Clarence.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best in home defense.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!